Hi, Marcus. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, no problem. We connected because you're an expert for investing in vacation rentals in the Midwest. No shots to the Midwest, but my first question is why the Midwest?
Yeah, so I'm in New Jersey, and New Jersey is it's known to be an expensive place to buy. And so I guess we've just figured out that our money can go a lot further in other states. And we started off with one property in the Midwest, and then once we saw how well that did, the cash flow, then we just continued to buy more and more, specifically in the Midwest.
So geographically, I've got a stereotype of what the Midwest is. Like what's your borders for Midwest?
Yeah, so right now we have 8 properties in Missouri, and it's actually on the border of Arkansas. So it's the south part of Missouri. It's actually geographically like the center of the United States, which makes an excellent vacation rental market because no matter where you are in the United States, you can probably drive there.
Because the video took like an hour longer to edit because I couldn't figure out where states like Missouri were. No,
Yeah.
the wonderful, beautiful state of Missouri to my Missourian listeners. So I'm glad I asked because I would have been thinking like Ohio to not like Washington. I think Washington puts us in the West, maybe South and North Dakota. So I wouldn't have put Missouri as Midwest. I probably offended like 20% of my Missouri listeners by saying that. But, you got to be honest on this show. I saw that you have a short-term rental checklist. I'll get that in the show notes, probably floating on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube. So kind of what would be the highlights? Like, I guess maybe in order of priority. Like I'm new to the game. I want to get the short-term rental checklist business. Like, what do I do first?
Yeah, so I think you really have to get familiar with running your numbers, right? And so it takes a while to actually run your numbers. It takes some time to practice. So you might be thinking, all right, I'm ready to get in the game. I'm ready to buy some real estate. But have you analyzed a certain amount of properties? Have you analyzed 50 properties? Have you analyzed 100 properties? Because before I did, feel confident enough to throw some offers out there, I probably analyzed a few hundred before I did.
Is that a number that you'd recommend for everyone? Are you over analytical? Is that is that normal? Is that the process? Like,
So I am a mathematician, so I am going to be a little bit more logical with thinking. And naturally, I wasn't as risk averse. I mean, I wasn't so risky. And so I would say definitely you want to get comfortable with running your numbers. And I mean, really, you're putting out a lot of your own personal money, right? So you want to make sure that you are confident with making these deals. So I would say definitely at least 50 deals I would analyze before I even considered putting an offer out there.
and you also mentioned was surprising to me, and that's because I guess I know people that don't even do this for their main property, but you mentioned getting pre-qualified. How does one go about doing that, and why get pre-qualified?
Yeah, so it really depends what you're looking for. Are you looking to get an investment property, and you want to invest in, a Midwest type of property where you maybe live in an expensive state like I do, and you want your money to go as far as possible? Maybe you want a cash flow. Like it really depends on your goals, right? So because we were looking for cash flow, we and also wanted to grow pretty quickly, we wanted to make sure that we could. Um, we ran our numbers ahead of time. We pre-qualified ahead of time. When you're looking at vacation rental markets, there's something called a second home loan. And the nice thing with second home loans is you only need to put down 10%. And you can actually get multiple second homes as long as they're within a certain amount of distance away from each other. So I would personally take advantage and get as many second homes that you can instead of getting an investment property where you might need to put down 25%. So yeah, definitely get pre-qualified. Think about what is it that you want. If you're interested in getting in the vacation rental market, I would definitely suggest to go that second home route because I feel like you can get even more for your money when you're thinking about a cash on cash return on investment.
You mentioned getting a realtor who specializes in short-term rental and who is investor friendly. Why is that important?
Yeah, so a lot of realtors will say, oh, yeah, I work with investors. But if they really know the short term rental market, then they know where short term rentals are allowed. Even though I will say you don't want to depend on your realtor for that 100%. You want someone who's experienced with it, who maybe goes to the local meetings, who knows if there's any restrictions coming up, who knows what the local HOAs are doing. You definitely want to be in on that. You want someone who's confident of calling the zoning, whatever jurisdiction, whatever area you're in. You want to make sure that that realtor can call zoning or can give you the number to call in zoning to see are Airbnbs or short-term rentals allowed in this area. So a lot of people, they will be investor friendly, but being a long-term investor versus, having properties for short term are completely different.
Where would I find this expert? Where do I find a realtor who can do this for me?
Yeah, so there are certain platforms like, let's say, the short term shop. So there are certain realtors that specialize in vacation rental markets, and there's certain areas. So if you want a property in the Carolinas by the beach, or you want a property in the mountains of Georgia, or you want a property on Gulf Shores, by the beach. There's so many different locations that they work with. So you could do something like that if you're not familiar with yourself, with that area. Personally, I love drivable vacation destinations. And so if you're familiar with like the East Coast, one of the biggest drivable vacation destinations is the Poconos, and that's in Pennsylvania. A lot of people who are not in this area don't know about it, but if you are local enough, like in the tri-state area, you probably have heard of the Poconos or have been there for either skiing or hiking or the lakes, right? And so anyone who's in this area, you can just start reaching out. I always join local Facebook groups, and that's how I find some realtors as well.